Hey y'all, grown black folks talk. I was gonna put this on the end of the last video, but it really doesn't fit. I have noticed with Umar and Kanye, an amazing number of black men who have finally decided, even Mr. Let Go came out here and came out against Umar Johnson. I was so surprised. I didn't listen to everything he had to say, but I did listen to a minute of it. Now, Umar has people that have been on his neck for a minute. Kanye West has a growing number of people that have kind of given up on him. But this is what I observe about these two and some other situations going on in the black community. The marriage of Jonathan Majors and Meagan Good shows me that black women are being their normal, forgiving self. He was on an interview with a content creator named Sherry, and she was the one saying it was women of color, and she's talking about black women because Asian and Latino women are not thinking about him. And of course, white women are looking around like, how did he survive? Because, 70 years ago, he'd be dead, having even been in that kind of close proximity and been accused of anything about Grace Jabbari. But it was women of color that felt like he should have another chance. And now that he's married to Meagan Good and she has legitimized him, he has a new movie coming out called Magazine Dreams, and all these black women in the comments talking about we gonna go see it and we're gonna welcome him back into the flesh. So black women are their same usual forgiving selves. And if I was going to do a video about it, there's a whole video to be done about why. But that video doesn't relate to Jonathan Majors as much as it does. As long as you keep letting people back that showed you that they disrespected you, they're never going to learn. But like I said, I've chosen not to touch that issue. I just mentioned it by the side of the road to show that black women have not really changed that much en masse. But then you do have the black women who are like the daughters and the mothers of the children of Umar and Kanye who are like, forget you. We're going to do what we want to do. Our daughters are going to do what they want to do, and you can't do nothing about it. Too bad. So as there is that split, of course, Kim Kardashian is not part of the sisterhood, but I would say the mothers of Umar's children are being just as independently minded. He's threatening one of them right now with exposure of a whole bunch of stuff. And it's like, man, do you know, she knows that as soon as you do that, she's going to go to the court and say, he's harassing me. I'm going to need more child support, and I'm going to need him to not be anywhere near my family. I'm going to need you to do some restraining orders. I'm going to need you to arrest him on site, blah, blah, blah. He's going to be in even more trouble once he does that foolery. But these women are not backing down. They don't have to do that. So there is a situation with black women deciding enough is enough. But what I notice at the same time is more and more black women are saying enough and enough. More black men are standing up and condemning black men that have just been dropping the ball. Now, it's taken 20 years. You don't get any credit for doing the right thing after 20 years. But here's what I notice about the two men that come to mind the most. I have daughters. And because I have daughters, ain't no way. I don't know these men's background well enough, but one of those men said no. Both of those men said no. I take care of my daughters. I would never come out. Actually, three now. I would never come out in public and do this with my family just for my own sake. I would never humiliate myself like that. So some of this change of behavior has to do with men maturing and realizing I don't want the foolery that I may have pulled to affect my daughters. Now, again, if you become an honorable person because you look at your child and you realize, I got to do better, a lot of people come to themselves like that way. I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking that. I'm thankful my father already was an honorable person and didn't have to do that. That makes my life a whole lot better to this day. But I'm glad that anyone encounters any grace such that they change their ways. So that's part of this phenomenon. Black men realizing that unless they change, unless they speak out for Anissa and even North, although she's biracial, if they don't speak out for their daughters, then their daughters are going to get savaged and worked over. Just like some of them worked over women when they were younger. Didn't commit, didn't marry, used and bounced. But I also think this has to do with something else. I think because of the politics that we're dealing with, black men have suddenly realized if the 92% really are sitting back and they're being indifferent to what all these other demographics are begging them to come do and they're not doing it, we might be next. And this thought came to my mind because I'm presently reading A Black Woman Centered by Mia Love Edwards for preparation for Auntie's show coming up on April 4th. And so actually, let me just mention, we're going to be on Noir Aunties doing our review of Project U on the 28th. That'll be Friday at 3 o'clock Pacific. I think I'll get you a better time. I think it's 3 o'clock, but I got to go back and check. But it's this Friday. I'll announce it later on. But in reading this book by Mia Love Edwards, she mentioned that Black men don't have anybody else. They can't punch up. They can only punch down. And if Black women decide we're not going to be punched down on, what are they going to do? It will be required for them to take care of the only asset they have left. We're not at that moment yet. One of the reasons I'm not covering Jonathan Majors and Megan Good is because no matter what this outpouring of Black women loving Black men and wanting to forgive is, those Black femicide numbers are not going to change one bit just because the two of those individuals got married. But to the extent that Black women are saying, we're not going to deal with you if you're going to act a fool. And Black men realize how completely alone the dishonorable ones are going to be in the world in a time in which prison slavery is on the front page news now. Yeah, it's taking place in El Salvador openly, but people are being shipped down there. Some of them are American citizens from some reports that I've read. But that's been going on since the 13th Amendment. And would you like to know who the top targets are? That would be Black men. And do you know who's worked the hardest in the United States of America to try to keep Black men from going through that? That would be Black women. So if they're not Black women, oh, by the way, who put together the Underground Railroad primarily? That would be Harriet, not Harry Tubman. Who was it that documented lynchings and brought it to the attention that this is a problem? Ida, not Adam Wells. Who was it that gave Martin Luther King a blueprint to use to work with that civil rights movement? Septima, not Stephen Clark, Dr. Septima. Who was it that told Martin Luther King, tell him about the dream? Mahalia, not Michael Jackson. Who was it who was sitting around here saying, gotta free Huey, gotta free Huey when Huey Newton was in prison? Black women, not Black men. It's like my pastor got up and said in the pulpit, God does not prefer men over women. If we did not have women, we would be nowhere. Pastor just turned 74 years old. You know, the women put together money to get him a birthday present, not the men. And when he came down to get his present, he said, because one of our older sisters said, come hither. And he said, I have heard the general speak, and came right down like she was Mother Brigadier Harriet Tubman. He sure did. And got blessed. There's women that did that. Pastor ain't stupid. My dad's been saying that. Some of the Black men I choose as friends understand that as well. So I hope that this Black male awakening that, yeah, like Pastor said, the reason Black men don't live to get older because we don't know how to appreciate our blessings. I'm hoping that what I'm seeing is Black men beginning to appreciate their blessings. I hope that Jonathan Majors becomes a good example of how you're supposed to get on the air in front of everybody in the world. I love that woman so much. You're supposed to do that. Who else is in your corner trying to take care of you? But see, the thing is, we do not need to be in the corners of Black men because they're Black men. We need to be in the corners of people who are honorable. And if a Black man ain't honorable, he can rot. Just like the names of Umar Johnson and Kanye West are rotting right in front of us live with their daughters being the ones repudiating him. Stuff that Sammy Lee Matthews is never going to have to go through. Because why? Because he's an honorable man. Things that Pastor Kiva L. McNeil is not going to have to go through. Why? Because he's an honorable man. They take care of their Black wives. They take care of the Black community. They take care of the Black generations. They ain't got to go through all that. So we need Black men to do what they're supposed to do. There was one online talking about, well, Black women always want thumbs and I'm a well-groomed, employed Black man. I'm like, you don't get credit for that. You're supposed to do that as a man. That doesn't entitle you to women. You need to do that for you. Have you? And then I just went on and stopped because sometimes a man will listen a little bit more if he doesn't feel outright disrespected. But see, people want to be coddled and worshipped, and Black men are always talking about, do you know how much? Someone said to me today, well, that's pretty good for a Black man. No. Good is good. Good for a Black man? No. Well, you know, I am a middle-aged Black woman who is losing weight when others are gaining it in middle age. That's pretty good for a Black woman. Ain't no Black man trying to hear that. So if you just talk about you well-groomed and you have a job, Black women do not need to take that off of you. That doesn't mean you know how to be a good husband. That doesn't mean you know how to cherish a woman. That doesn't mean you know how to nurture any children. That doesn't mean anything. You don't get all this worship for doing what you're supposed to do. As a mortal man, you're not supposed to be worshipped anyway. You did not make yourself. You came out of a black woman's belly. Now, I have associates of mine that disagree with me right here, but in Christianity, we do not worship mortal individuals, male or female. Jesus Christ the righteous died and rose again, thereby proving he is God, a very God, the Most High, the Son of the Most High. And since he and his Father are one, y'all go do your Trinitarian. If you have questions about it, you can ask. But that's the only exception in the universe for a man there is. Just one. Till one of these mortal men can get himself up out of the grave? No. No, that's not what we're doing in this season. And as I said, it's good that Jonathan Majors married Meagan Good. That was he was supposed to do. All these people just sitting up here fornicating and creating families they have no intention to take care of. You don't get credit when you stop doing the foolery you're not supposed to be doing in the first place. And that's the thing about these black men content creators. I love that they finally decided that they are going to actually stand up for the right, but it's a very self-interested move, I think. Because some of them are like, oh snap, I have daughters, and oh my gosh, these men think that these men that are going after these young ladies because their fathers are mad will do this to my daughter too. Okay, it's good that you realize, but you don't get any extra credit points because you finally realized it. That's what you were supposed to be doing. You're supposed to remember that whatever happens to some other black woman can happen to your mother, can happen to your sister, can happen to your wife, can happen to the mother of your children, and can happen to your daughters and granddaughters. You're supposed to do that. Well, it's so much harder for a black man. Yes, it is. But you still are obligated to do that to have the respect of men that do. And black women, I need us to understand. Don't get all excited when men actually do what they should have done in the first place. I always say this. When you see good, encourage it. Don't put it on a pedestal. Don't coddle it. Don't worship it. That's 4 very different concepts. Okay. When you see good, acknowledge the good, but don't just be like, okay, we can forgive all black men because Jonathan Majors married Meagan Good. No, you're gonna get killed tomorrow. Statistically, between the maternal mortality rates and between the increasing violence against black women inside the black community and the increasing violence against everybody not a rich white male in the United States of America, you can't afford to be naive. You can't afford to give people too much credit for doing what they're supposed to do. Any set of honorable men anywhere takes care of the women and the children. Even in a patriarchy, Bell Hooks wrote about this. Patriarchies understand care of resources. We don't even have that on average in the black community. Black men often talk about it's a matriarchy. No, it's a failed patriarchy. That's what's going on. Meaning the men who are supposed to be running the patriarchy don't know how and are not doing it and are failing. It's not a matriarchy yet either because black men get grace for things that black women never would. So no, it's not a matriarchy. Because matriarchy, we would tend to take care of everybody around us because that's what we try to do anyway. But half the time, if we don't stroke some man's ego on the way, he gonna try to mess it up. Gonna make chattel of the women and the children. As I was reading Mia Love Edwards' book, A Black Woman Centered, and some of the things she went through because of the uncontrolled perversion of the black men that were in her near family circle. And the way female members of the family chose those men over her and her peer children. Bone chilling. In a matriarchy, those men would be dead. Tried for treason for their crimes against the girls. We have a failed patriarchy in which the men are not getting the other men in line for their crimes against the women and the children. Because to a point, white male society does police itself. To a point. That's the whole criminal justice system. They are the majority population. Most of the times, they don't. If you're not a billionaire, you don't get away with much of anything. Because you're gonna feel somebody in prison coffers out there. They do some policing of themselves. They do within their ranks, because white womanhood has to be pedestalized. It's so much so that white women can get away with crimes that white men can't. That's another video. But a community that had men who will not do anything to police their own men, that's a failed patriarchy. You're supposed to take care of the family and the community that you're in. You're supposed to do that. You don't get extra credit for it. You don't get pedestalized and worshiped for doing what you're supposed to do. So even though we have this sudden trend, I'm glad to see it. I'll be in the comments and I'll encourage those that are. I might hit a like button sometimes. I don't hit them with the immediate do not recommend that I do half the time that I see black men in the thumbnails and in the titles called, let me nip you in the bud. You don't have 7 viewers? Let me let YouTube know that this ain't it. Sometimes I'll go in there and see what they're talking about, make notes and report them, even up to the FBI. Haven't done that recently since Donald Trump has been in office. I mean, really, you could set up somebody up for some foolery. But if I see the kind of things that cause me to report things in the past and get people's channels pulled down, I will go back to doing that. Get them pulled down faster. Get, the new administration to sit up there and look like, do we have a prison he can put him in to put him to work? Prison stocks are skyrocketing right now. Doing the right thing keeps you out of trouble. Male, female. I've been saying to y'all for years, get your lives together. I mean that. It's getting dangerous out here. And do not think that there are enough black men who are speaking up just because they have daughters that they care about your daughters. No, you're going to have to get your life together for your children. Speaking of which, the replays to the Project Youth Discord, if you missed the replays to the Project Youth Summit, if you want to sit down with a group of black women who can present to you your security, self-defense, your strategy, everything in terms of how to manage AI, how to manage crypto, that's me, how to manage working with software to make your freelance life easier, how to manage your self-care in multiple different ways, grief, releasing tension, dealing with understand trauma-informed care and what we've been through in this country and why black women do need to take time for themselves in a very specific way. All of that is in the Project Youth Summit. If you missed it, don't worry about it. We have a Discord, there's a screener that you can participate in, and then there are replays. And I'll put all that in the description for you if you want to be with a group of black women that is seriously addressing our needs so that we can continue to move forward. Since we cannot expect, this is, it's like a little crocus bud coming up in the spring of black men actually speaking up for black women. It's just a little crocus bud. We can't count on that yet. It's not ready to be harvested. At some point, we'll probably talk about it on Aunties on Friday. If you have confidence and love, baby, give us the history about how long you might expect to wait if you plan to wait on that. Plan to live a very, very long time. I'm just saying. I know black women have longevity, but you may not want to spend your time like that. Instead, get some tools and things available to you so that you can work out these things for yourself and your children while we wait for that little crocus bud to come up, while we not sitting up there loving it, watering it. No, the bud needs to go ahead and come up, and black men need to get together and encourage each other to do the right thing and stop expecting us to come along and do all that work. No, if they want this to grow, if they want black women's respect, then they need to do the work. I wish I would have seen my father. No, he got together with some male mentors. I know who they were. Some were black and some were white, and learned how to get it. Also went to the military and learned how to get it together. Got saved, got with the Lord Jesus Christ, learned how to get it together. Actually, that's a whole video that I do need to do, and I will. These will be scheduled out over the next couple of days. All right, y'all have a good day now. I'm going to do one more, and you'll see them, what is this, Monday evening? So, okay, first one, second, third. Sometime this week, you'll see this one, and then the next one is coming as well. All right, talk to you soon. Thank you for listening. Bye.